welcome back to the channel, everybody. Chris here again with another video, and once again we are here in the garage, which means obviously we got some new project to do on one of the cars. And for today we're going to go ahead and install AEM boost gauge and AFR gauges here on my 2015 Lancer Ralliart. So if that sounds interesting to you guys, go ahead and stay tuned. But like good old trusty Aunt May from Spider-Man, she always said, with great power comes great responsibility. So now that we're getting more performance mods on this car, we're going to take our responsibility and make sure we're checking up on the health of our car. So no better way to do that than with some gauges. So I have, like I said, the AEM boost gauge, and I have an AEM air fuel ratio gauge. So we'll go ahead and get those installed on the car today. Here's the car's pillar as it currently stands in a sleeper mode. Nobody knows this car is really boosted. If you don't know what a Ralliart is, you just think it's a basic Lancer out on the street. Well, that's going to change as soon as we get that pillar pod up here. So here is our OEM fitment. As you can see, nothing too crazy, right? So hopefully the new one fits just as well. Before we dive into this, I just want to make sure we have all the necessary tools for today's job. So of course, you're going to want your gauges depending on what you want. Like I said, I have my boost and my AFR. Now for the install. You're going to need a standard Phillips screwdriver. Help remove some trim pieces. You're going to want a pair of needle nose if you don't have the strongest fingers to pull out an old fuse. A ratchet. And you're also going to need a 12mm. Crimpers or a stripping tool. Good to have both. I have this. This is in lieu of a flathead screwdriver. This is just to help remove some of the pop clips that we're going to be touching. Not needed, but I have grounding lugs, but it's going to make the job a lot cleaner. We have our tap-in fuse with supplied fuses. I'll link this down below as well. That'll be handy to have in the future. We also have some electrical tape, or you can use some glass Gore tape. I might be using the glass Gore tape. We'll see. But there's that just in case. Zip ties, because I believe I only saw one zip tie in there, so you might want to go pick up some more. And on top of that, that was a white zip tie. We have a black engine base, so I have some black zip ties here. And I also have this, which is fishing line. I know it sounds weird, but we're going to be using it to hopefully fish through some of our harness, through some of the tighter places in the car. If that doesn't work, we might go ahead and use like a metal coat hanger or something. But like I said, we'll see as we progress through here. And last but not least, we have our Rex Speed gauge pillar pod. The double gauges right there, as you can see. This is just gonna slide right over our existing pillar in the car. So it's just about time to say goodbye to our little adapter. Don't want to damage that. We'll get that out of the way. And let's go ahead and take our pod, kind of set it up in place to where it's gonna roughly be. See what that looks like. Because I know a lot of people said they have fitment issues. Okay, so that's really not too bad. I am gonna go ahead and add 3M tape, double-sided tape, onto our list of supplies that you're gonna need. That way we can hold this down in the future. Because right up there you can tell it's not hanging up there appropriately. But yeah, we'll address that later on in this video. I just wanted to make sure it's at least semi-fit, which we are good. Pretty identical. This just has a gloss finish on it. Alright, so now that we got all of our tools out of the way and situated, well, I'm just going to go ahead and go through like video form on how to remove everything. There's plenty of videos out there on the full details of everything. That's how I'm doing this video. Thanks to all those other YouTubers out there. I'm going to go ahead and remove some of these panels. And yeah, we'll just go ahead and get this started. So now that you have all the bottom portions removed, don't be afraid. You're just gonna go ahead and lift up, and everything should snap out of place. Just little plastic clips. I know, trust me, it's just as nerve-wracking as it is for me. And be careful, because if you guys have a 2015 at least, I can speak on behalf. There is two harnesses back here. One's gonna control your headlight tilting, and then your traction control. So we're just gonna come over to the back and disconnect these. Remember that one's gonna be gray and the other one's gonna be white. I mean, they line up easy, so it's kind of hard to forget. Okay, now that we have all this exposed, that's basically all the panels we're gonna be removing for today. I figured I'm not gonna do the AFR gauge. At least I'm not gonna hook it up today because I still have my stock cat. I am getting a test pipe in the mail. It should be here anytime soon. Still waiting on it to get delivered. However, that's when I'll go ahead and run the AFR. But for today, we'll go ahead and just do the boost side of everything. And it's gonna be the same process of the routing, at least up until here. And yeah, then we'll get it situated. But this is the point where you're gonna wanna go ahead and grab your needle nose, unless you got strong fingers. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna tap into this fuse right here. So 3 from the top, or 3 from the bottom, far right. So 1, 2, 3. That's going to be the one we're going to go ahead and pull out, and we're going to be tapping into. You can kind of see why I use the needle nose, because one, my hand can't really fit in there very well, and you have to have a strong grip to kind of rip that one out. Alright, let's go ahead and dig into our gauges, or our gauge boxes. The one right here, this is going to be for your boost side. This is going to go to your gauge. And then, so this is going to be our AFR box. Like I said, I'm not going to route that today. I mean, I'll route it, but I'm not going to hook anything up. Alright, from looking at these wires a little closer, they didn't really give us too much wire to play with. So I'm going to peel back some of this insulation. So we're going to go ahead and strip off a little further because, as you can tell, here's my ground I'm going to be using. Yeah, you just want to be careful you don't miss that, you actually get contact. So I'm going to go ahead and strip about another inch off, well, about ½ an inch off of these, the red and black, because we're not going to be using the white or blue. The red and black of each harness, we're going to go ahead and strip to about 1 inch. That way it's going to make correct contact with our ground lug, and then also our tap in. And for your reference, these are 18 gauge wires. That way you guys know, and I can remember for the future. Alright, that's plenty more space. Go ahead, give the wire a nice little twist. I think that should be long enough. Yeah, look at the difference between what AEM wanted to give us and then what I got. So, I'm not saying it's bad, but this is just better to avoid complications. Do it now too while it's outside the car. And just to avoid any confusion during the video, and I've seen this on another YouTube video, we don't need the blue and white wire, so what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and tape these off. Avoid some confusion later on down the road. Not entirely sure what they do, but we really don't need them. Let's go ahead and plug in our gauges. So just remember, the longer harness with 2 lines coming off of it, with this little purple adapter clip, this is going to be your boost gauge. So I'm just going to go ahead and line that up, get that in there. All plugged in. So I know some people out there mention cutting holes through your stock pillar. I really don't want to do that, so let's see if we can just pull some of this trim off. Let's see if we can just pull some of this trim off and kind of squeeze it through before I even do anything like that. Alright, real quick before I proceed, I just wanted to show you guys this. So that definitely fits without cutting your stock pillar, which is always a good thing when you don't have to modify your stock stuff. Like I said, 3M tape, I'll 3M tape that base over there. It'll sit down pretty good. Up here sits pretty flush as well. But right there is going to be like your only little gap. So if that's going to bother you, I don't know what to tell you, but that's about as best as I'm going to be able to get it without cutting into the stock one. Alright, so following these wires coming down through this seam, you're going to take the one that goes to your boost, right here, this purple one, and that's gonna just kind of throw that outside the car because you're not going to deal with that right now. But the other 2 lines, they're going to get fed across here into here, and this is where we're going to go ahead and splice and ground our connections. You know, doing all that work, I realized I should probably just hook this end up too on the AFR, and I'm probably just going to store the unused portion right there inside the center console area. So yeah, let's go ahead and just do that now. I'm actually really glad I decided to do that now, because I would have been shooting myself later once I have all the 3M tape down and everything. So this second AFR portion is just going to run right through here, go above here, I'll zip tie it or something, and it's going to be fed through here later on, pass through to the other side and down to the cat or test pipe. So all it is just a little Phillips screw right here. Remove that, this panel will come off, we'll hide that in there, and then carry on with this project. And just like that, it's secured. And back to our scheduled programming. So we're getting ready to go ahead and work our ground and tap into our fuse box. So right now we have one end of our boost side and we have one end of our AFR side. So we're gonna go ahead and get the two reds connected together with our tap in, and then the two blacks together, connect it to a ground. So here's our tap in that we're going to use. Here's the fuse that I had previously pulled out earlier. I'm just going to go ahead and put that in its housing. Alright, so let's knock out the two grounds first. So the black wire in each harness, we're going to bring those together. Feed this grounding lug into a respective spot. Go ahead and slide it into the yellow spot right there. And there you have it. Both grounds are securely grounded. Give it a nice little tug test. It's not going anywhere. And what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to go ahead and find a good ground spot, which I've already determined it's going to be this bolt right here. So that's going to be a 12mm. We'll go ahead and remove that, get this situated underneath there, and we'll have our ground set. I know it looks all crazy, but I had everything bundled up kind of nicely in there. And here is our ground point. Gonna sit just like that, right out of the way, and it's still gonna give us room to go ahead and take these red power cables and tap into our fuse. Okay, good. Our ground is nice and secure now. Alright, let's go ahead and hit up that tap in with our power supply. This one should be a little easier. Give it a nice tug, not going anywhere, and I think we're set. Alright, well, since there's no good way to show you guys inside there with the camera and available space, you guys already know where this goes. It's going to basically go exactly where this one was. Third one up. Alright, there we go. We are tapped in. Just want to show you guys the location, just for visual references. I was able to squeeze my hand through here, through the back, to get it in there, so that's what I did. And to keep the bundle nice and neat, what I basically did, I just put a zip tie over there, and it gives you a nice little round. Doesn't look so ghetto at the moment. And yeah, you still have access to your fuses back there, so nice little routing. And then of course I have the one hiding over here. It's just coming right above this little airbag. Alright, well, if I installed it right, hopefully these gauges come on at this point. And they do, so they're receiving some power, so that's a good thing. It means I have a good ground, I have a good power supply, and the gauges actually work, so I'm pretty comfortable with proceeding and routing the boost. Now that we're in the clear, we can finally route this last little piece, the one with the little purple adapter or connector on there. So down here, there's going to be this little grommet, little circular thing that you can remove. And you're going to see this little hole right there. You're going to feed that through here. So when you feed it through that hole, you're going to have to get it to the other side through this fender well. So I'm going to have to remove my mud flap, get this wheel well kind of pushed to the side, and you should be able to fish it out and bring it up towards your engine bay. Alright, once you gain access back here, you're going to see that there's another grommet right there. So you can go ahead and remove that. It's gonna expose the hole to the other side. There you go. And I can kind of see the wire sitting right there. Let's see if we can grab it by fingers. I really hope I can. That'd be super cool. Dang, look at that. One shot, so I didn't even need the fishing line or anything like that to feed it through here. I'm super happy about that. That's probably gonna be the hardest part of the job, is just squeezing through there, but obviously we just got it. So if you take a look at this grommet right here, this is the one that came out of the wheel well. It is pretty heinous. It's nice and dirty, which tells me that dirt, rain, things of that nature can get kicked up in there really easily and get into your car. So I really don't want that. And a little closer look at it, you guys can see that there is no hole or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to see if I can cut a little slit. Okay, a little slit about halfway. Just enough to where I can squeeze, just enough so I can squeeze the wire through there and still be able to clamp it down. So now with your hood popped, you want to go ahead and find your BOV line, and in my case it is right here running off of my GFB blow-off valve. Comes right down here, and we're going to be cutting in through here, and this is where our hose is going to be attached to with our T-clamp. Alright, after scratching up my arm and everything, got it fed through there. Comes right through this backside, and I did tighten this down, so you're gonna have to make sure that's nice and tight. Got the vacuum line on here, and my plan was to run it underneath here, kind of over where the headlights are, and feed it towards this line. However, the line that they provided is not long enough, so I'm gonna have to get creative with that to make sure I can reach everything. Because this end, this is as far as it can go, and yeah, I gotta figure out how I want to route that. Yeah, look at that. Follow this line and it cuts off right here. Not enough room to get through there, so I'm thinking probably just gonna have to route it something like this, snake it through, behind it underneath the intake snorkel, and bring it out just to right there. Yeah, we'll make it work. So I'm going to cut this BOV line here, connect the T here. It'll kind of feed right below my trumpet on my blow-off valve. I'll zip tie it to this little point right here to serve as an anchor. Let it curve through here, and then I'll Gore Tape that sensor, and I think we'll be okay. So here's some good old Gore Tape. All it is going to act as a little buffer. If you don't know what Gore Tape is, it's just kind of like a thicker foam type of feeling tape. I don't know the best way to describe it for you guys, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up this sensor, that way it doesn't vibrate around, it protects everything, and I think we should be good. If I get it just tight enough too, I'll be able to just nudge it in there and it'll stay in place. Okay, with the addition of the Gore Tape, that's pretty straight up, that's really seated there pretty well. It may move in the future, but right now it's pretty good where it's at, protected. Runs on down like I showed you and like I told you. Got the zip tie on this little bracket right there. It's gonna feed underneath this snorkel, come right back through here, and now we're just gonna go ahead and cut this BOV line and put the T there, and we should be set. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but this vacuum line has a lot bigger of a circumference than this one does. So as you can tell, it's pretty loose when it sits in there. So I'm going to try zip ties and see if that will fit on there. But if anything, you might have to go get a new vacuum hose that's a little bit thinner. I don't know, we'll see how it works. Alright, fingers crossed it works. I have all sides of the T zip tied. This was pretty tight. These were a little loose. They got a little tighter with the zip ties. So let's just see how it runs. So there we go. I just plugged in my OBD2 to read on Torque Pro. So it's saying my boost is at about negative 16, and that's about where we are on the gauge as well. Flutters between 14 and 16, and we're right here about 15. So I think we're good. I think that's got a good seal on there. This was actually pretty accurate for what it is, and those are doing its job. Okay, so since we just verified that everything works appropriately, we got the good power supply, good ground, we got our routing figured out. The only thing that I need to fix now is the fact that that vacuum hose line is a little bit thicker than what's on that T, so I'm gonna have to run to the store and get a new one just to make sure it fits properly. I'm not gonna go into boost or anything, kind of stay away from that until I get that fixed. But however, that's pretty much it for the install. So we're gonna go ahead and put all the panels back together, and then yeah, we'll see the finished product of everything. One of the last few things I have to do inside the car now is I'm going to apply the 3M tape on the back side of this, get this mounted up nicely where I want it, and I think we'll be good. Put this trim back on. Alright, just got done from taking the car from a spin. Everything worked pretty well. AFR gauge obviously isn't hooked up, so that wasn't reading anything, but the boost gauge was right on par with the OBD2 and Torque Pro, so that was running good. I got on it a couple times, nothing really popped off. However, I know I need a new vacuum line over there, so I'll have to go pick up one from Advanced Auto or something like that and throw that on there. But other than that, that was a pretty straightforward install. A lot of those videos on YouTube actually really helped me. Hopefully this one can help you guys if you saw any other details that other videos missed or vice versa. But yeah, pretty impressed with it. I'm happy I finally got my boost gauges up there, got the nice little pillar pod to go with it, and yeah, so like I said in the beginning of the video, with great power comes great responsibility. This doesn't have the craziest power right now, but in the near future it should have a little bit more. So other than that, if you guys have any other questions, comments, or concerns, lay them down in the comments down below like always, and I'll try to address them for you. And I will also link all the stuff that I use for this install, the gauges, the pillar pod, crimp tool, all that stuff I'll have down in the description box. So other than that, just want to say thanks for watching. Never live your life in idle, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. But for extra measure, I definitely ghetto rigged this thing with some nice old zip ties, and that's not gonna go anywhere. Pretty happy with that. It's nice and sealed around here. It's tight because of the zip ties, and they're also not gonna come apart because they're all kind of zip tied together in this fashion. So not the prettiest of things, but who's gonna be looking at my engine bay anytime soon?